You can take those weapons and you can make Taiwan look like the surface of the moon and still have weapons left. Well, I mean, some of the candidates have said chip manufacturing is the only thing that matters, right?
When do you think this is going to happen? I have a Patreon account. It's a subscription account. They are our top supporters. They've been with us here from the beginning, and they're the reason I get to sit here and do this, and that you get to be here and educate all of us. So I give them an opportunity to ask a couple of questions. Couple of good ones here. First one is from Gregorylton, and he wants to know, do you think China will attempt to take over Taiwan by force? And if so, how?
Absolutely. They've been very clear they're going to do that. Xi Jinping has not minced words. We're going to take back Taiwan. How? I think they're going to come by the air. The general notion is that they're going to use an amphibious landing. I think they will use elements of maritime forces, but I think that's going to be a massive air invasion. And the reason I think that is because you can go to Unrestricted Warfare, the document written by two People's Liberation Army colonels, and it's a dissection, in addition to a lot of other things, but it's a dissection of the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, and they really talk about the use of combined arms, particularly the Air Force, and how it was used. If you go back to that war, the air power was used to kind of kick down the door, and then everybody flowed in. And I think they're going to do the same thing. Obviously, they have been studying us for a long time.
When do you think this is going to happen?
At any time. Literally at any time. Trying to predict, we just had Admiral Aquilino come and testify in Congress, I think it was this week, that it's going to be, they're going to be ready by 2027. I don't like to put a date on it because that implies that we can have insight into that. We really can't. It's going to happen on their timeline. And so what we have to look to, are they capable? And I would say they're absolutely capable. The weaponry that they've arrayed on their side of the Taiwan Strait has been building for decades. So, I mean, when you think about it, they've been preparing for this invasion for decades, stockpiling weapons. And when you kind of war game that, you can take those weapons and you can make Taiwan look like the surface of the moon and still have weapons left. So it's just the forces are overwhelming. It's 70 miles off their coast. They don't really care about the people. They just want the ground. So I just think that, not calling a spade is a problem. They're ready. They've said they're going to do it. And so now it's just, when are they going to do it? And it's really it's on their timeline.
Why are they so interested in Taiwan?
It's, the Chinese Communist Party, within about 9 days after they annexed what was called East Turkestan, they call it Xinjiang, it's where the Uyghurs live. They claim it was traditionally part of Chinese territory. It's part of the Chinese Communist Party's lore, right? The restoration of the great Chinese Empire. And so they have built into this lore that Taiwan was always a part of China, and that's not true. And so it is something that they have basically, concocted based on part of their platform, and they're a political party. And so that's what they have, programmed the population to believe. I think when you look at it from strategically in the region, it does complicate our ability to defend Japan, defend Korea, defend the Philippines, because it basically cuts the first island chain in two when they occupy that, allows them to offset forces even farther from their shore. So I think it's strategic territory, but really it's part of the lore that they've kind of created about themselves and about restoration of Chinese hegemony.
Is that the reason that we as Americans should be so concerned, is because if they take Taiwan, we won't be able to strategically defend Japan, Philippines, Thailand, the countries that you had just mentioned, or would it be more towards, the chip manufacturing that goes on there?
Well, I mean, some of the candidates have said chip manufacturing is the only thing that matters, right? I think you got to go back to the end of World War II and the beginning of the Cold War. What interest did we have in protecting Western Europe? And I think the interest was in understanding that if we become the only society in the world that believes in liberty, then it makes it a lot harder for us to survive in that world. And so part of the Cold War was really just saying we're going to stand for a set of principles and values, and we're going to, because we think that makes us safer in the end. And so you can take the approach that it's just the chips. There happens to be a lot of American citizens that are living in Taiwan. I think that, part of the what's going on there is, do we want to create a world that's beginning to slowly move towards China's direction, which is really authoritarianism and the right to basically subjugate, and a country of 23 million people, and there's a lot of complication in there. And originally I was, we probably shouldn't fight over Taiwan, but the more I thought about it, and the more I really just, I believe very strongly that we cannot defend our republic and the ideals of the republic if we're willing to basically just look away from that kind of activity. The problem is, though, we can't fight, because if we fight, then it raises a specter of nuclear war, and there's no way of knowing when you fight over Taiwan where that goes, where that escalates to. Do you protect Taipei and then lose Los Angeles? Is that something that we are willing to do? And I don't think the answer, any American would say, yes, I'm willing to lose Los Angeles for Taipei. And so you kind of get into this situation where if you're not proactively transmitting what you're liable to do, then it's liable to happen. And then at that point, you've kind of lost the advantage, or lost the escalation advantage. What we did during the Cold War is we said, if you invade Soviet Union, then it's going to be all out nuclear war, and we're going to destroy you. And that kept the peace. We haven't said that with regard to Taiwan. So, and there's no policy. I don't think anybody in Washington, D.C. thinks that this should be the policy. And so, therefore, the Chinese think that they have complete carte blanche to roll in there. And, we've also done a very good job during the Cold War and after the Cold War of preventing countries from getting nuclear weapons, particularly countries friendly to the United States. Obviously, countries hostile to the United States have been doing it, like, North Korea. But countries friendly to the United States, we've like Ukraine, like Taiwan, we persuaded not to get nuclear weapons. And I think that's dangerous. And so we've kept them unarmed. We haven't extended our nuclear embargo. In other words, we haven't said the same thing to the Chinese that we said to the Soviet Union. And so, therefore, we're inviting war. War will come, and it'll come at the time of China's choosing. And so I think what we're left with is, do we want to evacuate the island?
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.